when you look at the prophets, anyone that studies a little bit of the prophets, you start realizing that our shiurim are a little bit too soft. They're a little bit too soft. The guys are making movies, Baruch Hashem and Bezat Hashem. They're making movies, but they love the parts when I read the prophets. Why? It's the scariest stuff in the world. I read you guys the Chumash, Moshe Rabbeinu, Aaron HaKohen. Yeah, once in a while it appears in a movie, here and there, clip here and there. I read the prophets, prime time movie. Why? Why is this? Go Moshe Rabbeinu. No. We got the prophets. Why prophets? Look what the prophets say. The prophets scare us to death every time, week after week. The prophet Malachi talks to us about the end of days. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to us in a very clear way to this generation. As the Gemara in Masechet Megillah says to us, everything that appears inside the Tanakh is relevant to every single generation. In chapter 3, verse number 6, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to us, Ki ani Adonai lo shaniti, ve'atem bnei Yaakov lo chilitem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, for I, Hashem, have not changed, and you, the sons of Yaakov, you have not perished. You see, Rabotai, HaKadosh Baruch Hu clearly tells the prophet to tell us today, he didn't change. Nothing changed. Torah doesn't change. As the Zohar HaKadosh says to us, HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the Torah became one. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Torah and Am Yisrael. He says, I have not changed. And you have not perished. Yeah, you struggled. Yeah, you suffered. Yeah, you were persecuted. But I kept my promise that you will not perish. You'll always be there. But just because you didn't perish doesn't mean that everything's okay. I have not changed. You're still not complying with my Torah. And the suffering will continue if you don't change. And if you're waiting for me to change, stop waiting. It'll never happen. HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't change. Torah doesn't change. Yeah, but the generation, old generation. People think that the sins of this generation are new. It's not new. All the sins are old. The way we commit the sins sometimes are new. People think that immodesty and girls walking around half naked is new. The prophet Isaiah rebukes a group of women, calls them Reshaim. Tells them to be walking around with high heels and bells on. And then eventually we see the punishment of what HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives these people. Hashem Yishmor V'Yatzil, what He does to them. He makes all types of horrible smells and rotten flesh come out of the worst parts of the body. The parts that we're trying to expose. Why? Because when the prophet was rebuking them, told them, how could you walk around like this? What was their response? No, come on, Rabbi. What's the worst thing that can happen? The Goyim are going to like us? They want to marry us? So let us marry, let them marry us. Chachamim ask, who are these rotten women? Who are these rotten women that answer the Gdol Hador, the prophet, in such a way? It says, these were the wives of the rabbis of the generation. People think that the sins of today are new. Nothing's new. The way of making the sins is maybe new sometimes. The point is, Rabotai, is that the Ramban tells us very clearly, week after week for 39 lectures, it's time we change our ways, it's time we fix ourselves. And as Rabbi Ephraim says, if somebody simply listened and followed to just the first sentence of this letter, the Holocaust wouldn't have happened. The Holocaust wouldn't have happened. And the next Holocaust wouldn't happen. What's the first sentence? Shma beni musar avicha. Hear, my son, the musar of your father. That's it. Go to the end of the letter. What's the end of the letter? If you do this, you'll get to reward to endless. That's it. The rest of the letter, you can skip that. Just follow the first one. Listen to Musar of your father. Bad things won't happen. Why? When you listen to Musar and you apply it to your life, you become a pure person. He told us to run away from anger. He told us to run away from arrogance. He told us that if we want Hashem in our life, we have to run away from such things because HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs away from us if we are arrogant. As it says in the Gemara, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to Am Yisrael, me and him cannot be in the same room. Why? There's only one God. When a person is arrogant, he thinks he's God. HaKadosh Baruch Hu hates arrogance, hates prideful people. They want the world to dance to their tune. So now after we've heard some harsh musar, we see that it is critical for us to run away from certain things. But yet we see sometimes that people come in and they like it, and they're starting to do tshuva, and they come back to their shul, they come back to their school, and their friends haven't listened to the same shulim, and haven't fixed themselves, and they're still, back in the Avodah Zarah type of mentality. Still pray to a rabbi instead of to Hashem. Still think the rabbi is going to help them somehow and take them out of Gehenom because they had long payers or because they went to his grave. Not because they learned this Torah. No, that part not so much. All types of nonsense that people have added to Judaism and turned Judaism into some type of like witchcraft. So now, you start listening to shurim, you start applying them, you start doing tshuva, you come back, you see some of your friends, some of your girlfriends, some of your boyfriends, all these different people, not so much. So now you have a decision to make. Am I going to stand strong with HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Like Yehuda Maccabi, the Chashmonaim, Mi LaHashem Edai? Or I'm not going to pretend like like everything's okay. Like I'm going to be religious, but quiet. On my own. I'm not going to show everybody that, when I go to school, I'm going to wear the imadas clothes like them. When I go home, I'll put the long dress on. When I go to school, I'm going to walk around with a, tank top and shorts. Look like I just came out of the shower. When I go home, I'll put on tzitzit. When I'm with my friends, I'm going to play video games with them. Home, I'm going to watch Rabbi Yaron. I'm going to watch him on YouTube. Doesn't work. Doesn't work. Why? Chachamim tell us if you're going to purify your mind, you have to go all the way. As long as you continue delving yourself into the forbidden, you're never going to be where you need to be.